I have here a Commodore 64 board, revision number 250407. I've got a Winbond PLA substitute. This is an electrically erasable EPROM, and I've got it hooked up to a 10X probe on an oscilloscope I have here. This is a Tektronix 243A. I've got the voltage adjusted now on the 10X probe so that it's reading the correct voltage, and each division now is set to 2 volt divisions, and I've got the sweep set to 50 nanoseconds, and I have the trigger here set to 2.38 volts, so I'm just adjusting the trigger up and down now, so I'll adjust it to 2.38, and I'll turn the Commodore board on now, and we're at the 0 volts line at the moment. Turning the Commodore on now, and that's the startup routine. So it's finished the startup routine, and the trigger light is coming on. Triggers again, triggering the trigger LEDs to the right of the panel, and you can see it on the oscilloscope on the left, the dip, so it dips to at least 2.38 volts and the trigger light comes on. Triggered it again. I've got the same revision board now again, 250407. This time I've replaced the substitute Winbond PLA with a EPROM that is UV erasable, and this is an original ST branded 27C512. This was one that I bought from the electronics shop. This is an original EPROM. It's a very old one, and we'll try this on the oscilloscope. Now I've set the settings up on the oscilloscope the same as in the previous example. I've got it set up here, so you can see I've got 2 volt divisions, and I have the sweep time at 50 nanoseconds, and the trigger voltage is 2.38 volts. Now I'll turn the Commodore on now. It's going through the startup routine, and I think it's completed, and the voltage is about 4.3 volts, just eyeballing it here. Now I'm going to turn the trigger level up because it's obviously not triggering now at all, so I'm going to turn that trigger level up. So 3.16, 3.2, 3.4, 3.56, 3.5, 3.72, 3.88, 3.97, 4 volts. The trigger light still hasn't activated. Turning it up again, 4.3, 4.41. Okay, triggering at 4.47. I'll drop that back and try and get it to de-trigger. Okay, it's fluctuating at about 4.38 volts. Okay. I'll take it up a little bit. Oh, it triggered. It triggered at 4.38. I'm sure I saw that. I'll wait. No. So I'll just turn that trigger voltage up a little bit. 4.41. Okay, triggering at 4.41 volts. I'll just drop that trigger level down a fraction. Try and get the, whoops. Okay, it won't, seems to be whenever I turn the knob as slow as I can, it's either 4.1 or 4.8 volts. So it doesn't seem to want to go in between that. So it's at 4.38 volts, and it's not triggering as yet. Now, just to run through some of the features, I'm on auto trigger mode here. I'm on DC coupling. I'm on channel 1. DC coupling again. I'm on full bandwidth, and I've got smoothing on. And the setup, I'm on, the method is minimum maximum. I have here the same Commodore board as before, the 250407 revision number, and this time I've got a different EPROM based PLA substitute. This one is a one-time only programmable 27C512. This one is an ST branded one, and it's a knockoff. It's absolutely a knockoff. I bought it online, AliExpress. It's without a doubt a knockoff, a fake, whatever you want to call it. It's non-genuine, and we'll put this on the oscilloscope now. Now I've got here on the oscilloscope is the same settings as in the previous two examples. I've got the divisions set at 2 volts. I've got the sweep time at 50 nanoseconds, and the trigger voltage is at 4.38. None of the other settings have been altered, and I'll switch the Commodore on now. Okay, switching on, and you will see that the trigger light is actually on quite a bit. So this is triggering quite a bit more than the original UV erasable EPROM that I had in the last example. So it does trigger at a lower voltage, and what I'll do now is I'll turn the trigger level down and see at what voltage it stops triggering. So take it back a bit. So 4.34, 4.31, 4.31, and it seems to have stopped the triggering. So we'll just wait a bit. It may trigger, may not. Doesn't seem to be triggering at this level, so that's at 4.31 volts. It won't trigger, and we'll move on to the next test. I have here the same board as in the other examples, revision number 250407, and this time I'm running another one-time only programmable EPROM, which is a PLA substitute, and this one is an ST branded 27C512 one-time only EPROM. This one is actually branded made in China. It is without a doubt another fake. This one was bought online recently. It's brand new stock. It's absolutely 100% non-genuine, fake, knockoff, whatever you want to call it. And we'll put this on the oscilloscope now. And I've got the oscilloscope here. These are the same settings as in the previous example. I've got the volts per division set at 2 volts per division. I've got the sweep time set at 50 nanoseconds, and the trigger level is at 4.31. I'm turning the Commodore computer on now. Okay. Now this one doesn't seem to want to trigger at 4.31. Just wait a little bit, and I'll just turn up the trigger level a little bit. Now this one time only EPROM is different to the previous one. So these are all different manufacturing countries, the same brand but fake. So it's ST fake branded, but the production codes, the production locations are all different on the markings on each of the chips. I'm going to turn the trigger level up, so 4.34. Still no triggering occurring. Oh, is that a trigger? No, it must have been my finger. 4.41. 4.41 and no triggering as yet. Turn that up a little bit more. 4.7, and at 4.7 it's triggering. I'll try and turn that down a little bit. 4.4. 4.4 doesn't seem to want to trigger. We'll wait a little bit. It might just tweak it. Nope. So I'll turn the trigger level up to a fraction to 4.47. Doesn't seem to want to go between any number between 4.44 and 4.47. So it must be. Here we go. We've got some triggering going on. So yep, some triggering. I have here again the Commodore 64 board, revision number 250407, and this time I'm testing the Ultimate PLA, a proprietary PLA substitute, bought online, and we'll try that on the oscilloscope. So over to the oscilloscope, the settings are the same. The trigger level set at 4.47, which was what was set on the last example, and we'll turn the Commodore on now. Okay, no triggering whatsoever on startup, and that's at 4.47. The line's much more wavier, unstable if you like to call it that, but it's not triggering whatsoever, and it didn't trigger from the moment I turned the computer on. Now I'll just turn this trigger level up a little bit and we'll see at what level it triggers at. So I'm at 4.47, 4.5, 4.53, still no triggering. 4.56 and no triggering. 4.63 and no triggering. 4.69 and no triggering. 4.72 and no triggering. 4.84 and no triggering. 4.94 and no triggering. 5 volts and no triggering. So there you go, 5 volts and no triggering. That is the ultimate PLA, and still no triggering, and that's it. I might turn it up a little bit more and see if it'll trigger. No. 6, 5. Okay, triggered. Got a trigger at 3.72. Okay, it's triggering. It's constantly triggered at 3.72. So we'll just drop that down a little bit and see when it cuts out. Okay, cut out at about 3.34. Okay. So at about 3.41 it will not trigger. And then when I take it above, oh, I just saw it trigger, only momentarily. If I take it to 3.4, whoops, 3.44, we get some triggering. There's some triggering at 3.44, and that is the ultimate PLA.